All right, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to the wide receiver evaluations, and we've got a lot more to do today. We are nowhere near done. There are a lot of day three receivers that are worthy of our attention and discussion. So we have gotten to the part of the draft where it's a little more realistic. The Seahawks might actually be interested in somebody. So maybe this part will actually be more fun for you guys who are watching. But we have gotten into the fairly firm day three territory. Some of these guys could creep up. Most of them won't. So, let's start with Johnny Wilson of Florida State, one of the most unique receivers in this class. Going to be 23 when the season starts. 6'6", one of the biggest receivers ever, maybe. 231 pounds, 35 and 3/8 inch arms, 10-inch hands. The guy's a freak. The guy is big. And he's not that slow either. 4.5240 is okay. You can live with a 4.5240. Actually, yeah, okay, that's better. 1.55 10-yard split is okay. His vert, good. Broad jump, really good. 10-yard split, good. So he's a good athlete too. He's not just some big, fat, slow guy. He's actually got NFL caliber athleticism. Big boards, kind of all over. Got Draft Network has him in the second. A few have him in the third. Some have him in the fourth. ESPN actually has him in the fifth. The aggregate currently has him in the fourth round. Had a nice 2022 season. 43 catches, almost 900 yards. That's 20 yards a catch. 5 touchdowns. And he couldn't build on it in 2023. I know he missed some time. I know it's not totally his fault, but had a disappointing 2023. Declared anyway. Now we got to figure out how he's going to fit into the NFL. And look, this guy should at least have your attention, right? You only see a receiver this big every now and then. 6'6" receivers with 35.5-inch arms almost do not come around that often. He's going to be a great run blocker. He's going to be destructive in that area. He's got a big catch radius because he's got the long arms and he does have some jumping ability. He's going to go and make a play on any ball thrown in his area. He's faster than you would expect a receiver this size to be. He's not going to burn anybody, but it's passable speed. He's a bowling ball against would-be tacklers, breaks tackles aplenty. And he's one of the receivers in this draft who I think does really well when he's pressed. If you try to press him at the line, he's going to beat you. He's got the strength to do it. So, Johnny Wilson, there is some fun stuff here. Now, he's not the weapon that you would like him to be on physical catch opportunities, which is basically you're getting contacted, you're getting contested, you're getting a 50-50 ball. Those are areas Johnny Wilson should eat in, but he doesn't. Not really, anyway. His route running is not good all around. His variety of routes is not very good. The crispness with which he runs his routes is not good. He struggles to get open sometimes. Defenders kind of stay glued to him, even though he has okay speed. He doesn't separate very well. So the route running's not there, and the guy drops like crazy. The guy has 11 drops over the last 84 catches he's made. That's way too high. That's not going to work. It's not like he has a terrible quarterback at FSU. He's got Jordan Travis, right? So he's got potential. He's very unique, but he's got no refinement right now. And the hands really concern me. A guy like this needs to have really good hands. I'm skeptical. I would put him in the late fourth or the early fifth, personally. So, not a big fan. Not convinced on Johnny Wilson. I'm just getting a bad vibe. Jamari Thrash is our next receiver here we're going to look at here. Louisville, 23 years old. 6 feet flat, 188 pounds, 31-inch arms. Small hands, 8 5/8. Testing was mixed. Decent 40, decent acceleration. Not very good on the vert or the broad. 3-cone was awful. 7.16 is bad for a receiver. PFF has him in the top 100. So does the Draft Network. ESPN and CBS have him in the fourth. And the aggregate currently has him in the fourth. Seems a reasonable expectation for him. Pretty good production over the last 2 years. 124 catches, about 2,000 yards. 12 drops, 13 touchdowns. Good PFF grade, so fairly productive at Louisville. He tracks the deep ball over his shoulder very well. He's one of those guys, kind of like Lockett, who just finds the ball in the air and finds a way to make sure that he's underneath it when it comes down. Should be able to play outside and inside. I know he's got the short arms, and short arm guys usually don't play that well outside, but I think he can play outside fairly well. Natural route runner. He's got route running skills, route running athleticism. He can shift speeds to throw defenders off. He's really good at finding the gear. And that's something that I keep coming back to when I look at these receivers. Can you shift gears? And he's another one of these guys who seems to do really well in off-script situations. When the quarterback starts scrambling around and the play's busted and your planned route is not going to save you, Jamari Thrash is somebody who understands, I got to go help my quarterback. And he comes back and he does. So, some good qualities for sure. Some things to like with Jamari Thrash. Now, some things not so much. He's kind of weak. He's not very physically strong. Gets beaten at the point of the catch frequently. So, if you contest the catch, he's in trouble. If you contact him at the point of catch, he's in trouble. He's not got the catch radius to bring in off-target throws. It's got to hit him in the numbers or else he's in trouble. He does drop too many passes. 12 drops on his last 124 catches is not really what we're looking for. Ball skills in general seem just a little bit weak to me. His ability to make a play on the ball in the air, it's not horrible or anything, but it's not great. And the more I look at these receivers, the more I find myself gravitating towards the guys with ball skills, and Thrash doesn't really have it. And just in general, struggles to survive contact. He gets hit, he goes down, and it usually spells bad news for him. So his route running and his high football IQ will give him a place in the NFL. I do think he's a smart player and a savvy player, and he does bring some qualities to the table here that are going to help him a lot. But I don't like the fact that he can't catch that well, and I don't see anything over the top athletically that he can survive on. So I'm looking at Jamari Thrash as a 4th rounder, about where the aggregate has him. Seems to be a reasonable expectation. And I don't know if I ever see him being like a starter in this league. I don't know if I ever see him being a great player in this league. He'll just be a guy who hangs around and does okay. So Jamari Thrash, decent enough prospect. Worth something, but not a ton. Okay, one more guy for this video. We're going to do Jacob Cowing. Jacob Cowing of Arizona. This is a slot guy. Very much a slot guy. At 5'8" and 168 pounds, we're in Tank Dell territory, right? And Tank Dell has proven that the small guys can find success, but that doesn't mean all of them will. Arizona Wildcat, 23 years old, 29.25-inch arms, 9-inch hands, so he's just generally a smaller guy. He's got a lot to overcome in that area. But he tested fairly well. 40 time was blazing. 10-yard split was okay. The vert was okay. The broad was a little disappointing. The 3-cone and the 20-yard shuttle have me a little bit concerned. That indicates short area quickness and change of direction. And it makes me wonder if he has those. And if he's going to be a slot guy, that should matter. Big boards are all over the place. Draft Network has him in the 2nd. Some have him in the 3rd, the 4th. ESPN has him in the 6th. So it's all over the place. The aggregate puts him in the late 4th or early 5th, which I think is a fairly reasonable expectation for Jacob Cowing when the draft day comes around. Very productive the last 2 years for Arizona. No denying that. 175 catches, almost 2,000 yards, about 1,900 yards. 20 touchdowns, 13 drops, but his drop rate's actually not terrible. So it's not necessarily an alarm bell. It's not ideal, of course. Cowing produced a ton in college. It's not just the last 2 years. I think this guy's been productive for like 4 years in college. So lots of experience playing, lots of production. He's a good route runner. He knows how to use burst to kind of shift into that extra gear to be able to get open and separate from defenders. He knows how to utilize his speed well. And he's got a lot of little tricks that he can use to shake a defender. Like, I compared it last night in the Hawks Nest stream to a basketball player who's in a one-on-one situation, isolation, and he's like using dribble moves and fakes and pumps to shake the defender. It's like some of these guys play like that. And he's got some of that. He's pretty physical as well. He can push his way through tacklers. And even though he's tiny, he plays fairly well against press. Now, I don't think that's really going to matter in the NFL because he's going to be a slot guy, but it is worth noting. Now, there's no getting around how small he is. He's a very small player. 5'8", 168 pounds is tough. He does drop a few more passes than you would prefer, even though as a drop rate, it's not that bad. Doesn't really have any ability to go get passes that are off target, like his catch radius is small because he's small. I can't imagine him having success on the outside, and contested catches, you can kind of forget about it. He's just not going to be able to win those battles because he's too physically weak. So he's got a lot to work on to get into the NFL. I'm looking at him and I'm seeing a guy who is undersized, can only play in the slot, lackluster ball skills, lackluster hands, okay hands, but nothing over the top great. I like his route running. I think he's a really good route runner, and I think he can lean on that a little bit. But my thing is, I look at a guy like Cowing. There are guys like this all over the place. There are slot receivers who are shifty and quick all over. So for me to be interested, I want to see something a little over the top. I don't know if I see it with Jacob Cowing. The only thing over the top would be he's had a lot of production in his college career, which, okay, great, but he's a Pac-12 guy. He's playing Pac-12 defenses. He's not cutting his teeth against Alabama and Georgia every other week. So I went with 5th round. I feel like I can get a guy just like this any old place pretty much. There are a million guys like this in every draft class pretty much. All right. So that's going to do it for this video. I will be posting another one in a couple hours with some more day 3 candidates at receiver. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think of these 3. See ya.